My name is Brandon Watt. This is like saying we're not ambidextrous. We can't do two things at one time. We can straight these paths that are being literally
through what we've been going through for the past couple of months, not just with COVID-19, but all the social injustice at this time.
I'm Jermaine, St. Louis. Happy to be with you, brothers. Politics and voting season is exhausting. Most times it's by people that don't look like us that are saying things that they think they can do to help us.
Lorenzo Beach. I'm from Wichita, Kansas, but I currently reside here in Chicago. I'm the founder and creative director of Good People. It's my personal clothing brand.
Fellas, let's jump right in. There's a bunch of different topics I just want to poke you guys' brain on and get some conversation around. The first is in light of the Breonna Taylor case. I think we've all been rocked. For some reason, I feel like I hate that it takes tags and went in and murdered Breonna Taylor. And so in light of that, one of the things I've noticed over the last few years is a lot of these hashtags, we've never had to say his name, right? We're always like, we always are saying the George Floyds, which we should, right? We're always saying the Elijah McClains, which we should. I think what often gets missed is the females, the women, especially Black women. And so in light of that, I just wonder, Black women are, I would say my perspective is that Black women are the most disrespected women in the world. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I'd love to get some conversation. If everybody don't jump in on this topic, that's cool. There's more topics, but I'd love to hear what are some ways you've seen Black women disrespected, not honored? And what are some ways, if you want to be honest about your own personal self, what are some ways that you're like, man, I missed the mark so many times on respecting our Black queens? Anybody?
I think that's a little bit easier to talk about, our personal perspective on where we might have missed the mark, in terms of like, oh man, in hindsight, that was probably an instance of disrespect, right? But I have to jump back into the Breonna Taylor piece, right? Because from the outset, what you just said is that she was murdered, right? That's your take, right? You let us know from the outset that that's what you feel. And then, get Daniel Cameron. Is that the AG's name? Daniel Cameron. Aside from what we do or don't, with regard to the unreleased from the grand jury proceedings, what he did say, what was found, was that it wasn't a murder. It was wanton endangerment, right? And then that was related to him shooting into other people's apartments. But they said that the person who was the tenant in that particular residence didn't know who was knocking at their door, right? His gun was registered. He didn't know who it was. He shot to protect himself, right? And the police, right, them feeling like they were righteous in the way that they proceeded, shot back. And why is it that you don't feel like, or would you consider that it might have been collateral damage, so to speak, as opposed to absolute murder, right? Because that has to be proven intently, right? That they intended to kill. And this is not to say, right? Like I say, right? None of us have. I haven't listened to if they did release it, the grand jury testimony. But one thing that you cannot neglect is what the facts are, right? Taking all the emotion, all those things out of it. So let's just put that out front from the outset, as opposed to I'm just asking him this question. I'm just asking because
let's sift through all this. I honestly want to know your opinion. Do you think that was murder? Do you think?
Yeah. I'll hey, just 1 second, because he opened up the question. He opened up the topic saying Breonna Taylor was murdered, and we've got another 7, 8 brothers in the room who may feel one way or the other. But he opened up with the question, right? Letting us know his stance, right? And I haven't said whether I feel like she was murdered or not. I didn't say it.
It's a yes or no question.
All I said was I would like to know how you think in terms of from law enforcement, the law, their perspective.
Before you answer that, yes or no, do you think she was murdered, or you think that it was an intent for her to be murdered and it was just a off the whim thing?
I'm more than happy to answer that question, and I will. But I just want.
Can you answer the question, and then I'll let y'all get back to what y'all doing? I really want to know this answer.
100%, and we can't do the back and forth.
We're not. It's a yes or a no.
Yeah,
period. That's all you gotta say.
1,000% answer. I don't want to.
He said he'll answer it. So
I don't want to seem like one of these cats out here that's gonna skate your question.
I just want to get stuff. I'm asking.
I just want to.
Yeah. So I think even the question back, I think, is part of the problem, and here's why. Whenever it comes to the murder of Black people, specifically Black women, we're always given the benefit of the doubt to the white person, the white cops, or whoever it is. The Black woman is never given the benefit of the doubt. She didn't have a gun. She was sleeping in her house. And so even if they shot back, she didn't have a gun. And so I think what happens in this conversation is, because I've gotten that question before, like we don't have all the facts. Well, the reality is all the facts weren't even presented to the grand jury. So we don't even know. But I err on the side of, man, I'm going to support the Black woman and say she was murdered. Number one, she was sleeping. Number two, even if her boyfriend shot, she didn't shoot. She was an innocent bystander in her home. And so if the roles were reversed, we wouldn't be asking.
But that's not related to the reason they fired. From what we understand, that's absolutely not related to the. Hold on.
Before we get into all this,
that's not related to the reason that they fired. The reason that they fired, from what I understand, I could be wrong. Somebody please correct me. But the reason that they fired is because of, what was his name, Walker. That's the reason that they fired. You're talking about she was sleeping, all this in the third, right? The reason that, from what I understand, I could be completely wrong, that they fired is because they were fired at.
By who?
Right or wrong.
That's hold on.
Can he answer my question?
Even on this part,
hold on, fellas. Hold on. I'm gonna get everybody in.
Sure.
But you said that she was fired upon. What you're missing is they were not fired upon by her. She's an innocent bystander.
That's right.
If we're all sitting in this room, the cops come in, one of us have a gun, and you shoot.
Yep.
You shoot.
Yep.
But they shoot Ashton. Why did they shoot Ashton if he doesn't have a gun?
But why were the bullets fired by the police?
Okay, somebody else jump in.
Please. No. Can y'all give me a second? Can y'all give me a second, please? Yo, answer my question.
Sure.
Do you think that she was murdered, or you think that it was just some fluke thing that First off, they didn't have a warrant. Second off, they don't have a warrant to come in this home. So they shouldn't have been there in the first place, period. Regardless of what happened, who shot who had what. The gentleman that fired at the police would do what any of us in this room would do. Somebody kicking your door, you shooting, period.
Yeah.
Regardless of who it is. They never said they were the police.
I told you I was going to answer you. What's your question?
Do you think she was murdered, or do you think it was off a fluke? They kicked in some unknown door and somebody fired at them because they didn't know who they was, so they shot at them. The police shot back and accidentally killed her.
I think it was. I would think because in order to prove murder, right? You have
answer the. Hold on.
No. Period. Now let me answer. Hold on. Wait. In order to prove murder, from what I understand, man, I don't know. You know. Let me finish. You have to prove intent, right? But what I do believe is that it was it was reckless homicide. It was reckless. Do I think they should be charged? Do I think that wanton endangerment was? I can't tell you how pissed I was that they only charged them for shooting.
Forget all of that.
And to other
They have a warrant. That's murder.
Literally what Pastor B was talking
about. Finish your thought.
What Pastor B was just saying. Literally what he was just saying, Christian. He was just saying, right, that she was sleeping, all this and that. The reason that they fired is because they were fired at. But what you're saying, as far as her being, where you have to prove intent. They had to literally be firing a gun. They had to have fired their gun with the intent to kill Breonna. I'm
they would not have been there.
Christian.
Hold on, Christian.
All I'm saying is, go ahead. I'm done with it.
The simple fact that they didn't belong there. They did. Can we just put that on the table? They didn't belong there.
Yep, I agree with that.
Where's the drugs that they were looking for? You know what I'm saying? They effed up. And they know it. So now they're trying to cover it up. That's the plain and simple. Before we even get to having to shoot back, why did they shoot? They had to shoot because they got shot at. They didn't belong there.
I'm just talking about by definition. There's so many different
names.
By definition, there's different names that you give to when someone is killed.
This is some bullshit.
When someone dies,
they didn't. They didn't knock. Because even that whole thing is like the neighbors didn't hear them knock. They bust in the door. Now it's video footage. That girl was sitting in there dead. They walking around looking for stuff. They didn't find nothing. Oh, ma'am, can you hear us? They was in there for 4 minutes before they even acknowledged her.
All right, let's get Nosen, and then I want to move off this in terms of the case, and actually want to get to the broader question. All right, so Nos, I don't know what you got.
Absolutely, she got murdered. I want to start off with that. But she did have, it was a warrant. My thing is, we got to go deeper into like what classify you to have a warrant.
Where was a warrant? I never heard of
the warrant. My understanding, it was a warrant went out for that house.
The person they was looking for was already in jail.
Right. But the warrant, when they went to the judge to go get the warrant, what was that warrant based upon? Right. And they said that this person supposedly is selling drugs. This person is supposedly have criminal intent in that house. But again, they messed up. This is my point, though, is this is where the law needs to change. You can't just come in to a judge and say, hey, I think Christian has illegal things without some type of real proof, right? Right now, they can do that. They can go to a judge and say, hey, you Judge Ashton, I need paper warrant of saying that Christian is doing something illegal in that house and we need to get in there. No knock, or whatever. That's the problem.
It's statistically proven no knock warrants are used heavier in low income communities. The same with stop and frisk, when stop and frisk was a thing. Let's go to Marcus.
So we're trying to define a murder through a broken justice system. And so for me, I can't classify, I can't look at the broken justice system as the means to define what actually happened. So for me, it was 100% murder. 100. There's no question in my mind, because how is this broken system going to tell me what we already know, what the facts are from what we know? She was in her room. She was in her own home, not a threat. They were there looking for something for what? What were they there for? So in my opinion, there's no gray area for me. It is, the system is broken, and they are hiding behind that to say that, therefore, technically it's not murder, and really it is.
And speaking of help and speaking of situations, let me go to the next question. And I really want to hear your thoughts, Ashton, on this, but anybody else that wants to jump in. You know, we've seen, I think in 2020, I've seen more athletes, professional athletes, step up and in terms of advocacy for these issues and really bring light to it. I mean, and this goes back. I mean, you have Muhammad Ali. I mean, he was very clear on his stances and positions. Who was it? Tommy Smith and Kareem. Yeah. I mean, all of these dudes, going all the way up to today, Colin Kaepernick, and then you have LeBron James. These guys, Naomi, the tennis player. Like, you have all of these Black athletes now stepping up, right? But I wonder if we have some competing thoughts on that. Like, should they have to step up? I know all of Black America is like, yo, you in position, you got a platform, we want to see you step up. And I just want to understand from you, brothers, if that's something that we would have to do. Marcus, let me start with you, and then I'll kind of want to hear from Ashton.
So for me, I'll go back real quick to the group, the health group health treatment. I think that it's very important, like you said, and there's something that we need to do there, where we need to go ahead and there's a group called the Black Man Project out of Houston, Texas, and their whole MO is Black men getting together for the trauma and health that we have, and just peeling back the mask and the layers that we have, that we wear in society based off of what has happened to us in the past. I went through that process a while ago. I learned so much about myself from that, and it was just eye-opening in so many ways. And so I highly recommend that we do that. And I have a whole lot of different resources and ways that we should, as this group, do that as well. We should really do that. Now, going into your question around the athletes and the entertainers and their I guess, stance. So I don't think that they are required, because a lot of folks are getting into their careers, making a lot of money, and maybe haven't done the research yet in order to be qualified enough to speak on these matters besides just being Black. And that gets you somewhere, but there's so much more. They should definitely open up their mouths. They should definitely help out our communities, et cetera, because they have a platform. But what is important is that we are continuously educating them and helping them out along the way. They have the biggest platform to bring attention and awareness, but it's taking us as well that are going to be doing the on the ground work and to keep really fostering the type of communities that we want. So in my opinion, should definitely be speaking up on the issues. But if they aren't necessarily right at that moment, it's maybe because they haven't been educated enough just yet. And so they have to go through that process still.
Yeah. It's an interesting topic, and it's funny because I'll share with you, brothers, my stance on it has totally changed. If you would have asked me this question in January, I was 100% behind athlete advocacy and all these things, anything considering Black folks and social injustice. I'm like, yeah, you got a platform? Yeah, you should be doing. And I promise you, I was running. I'm in the middle of the bed, start running, and it hit me like I hit a truck. It ran right over me. It said, Ashton, why do you expect Black people to be the saviors and the targets of a society? Why? Like, literally, and we've looked throughout history. You have Muhammad Ali in his prime, who was the heavyweight champion of the world, stripped of his title because he wouldn't go fight for a country that wouldn't even allow him to sit in the front of a bus. We look at Tommy Lee Smith. We look at John Carlos, came back to America from the Olympics, not respected by white America and their own people for putting up this Black power fist as a sign of unity during the Olympics. Present day Colin Kaepernick, blackballed, obviously. He was a time man of America. And then now, recently, the most recent obvious sign was when the NBA players, led by, LeBron James and the like, decided not to play basketball, right? And that's when it came to me. I said, Ashton, why am I expecting LeBron to be the standard for advocacy in the country, but I don't have that same expectation from Mitch McConnell and Daniel Cameron? These are literally elected officials
to push the needle. But we look at James Harden, who said at a young age, I just want to play basketball. I literally want to be one of the best basketball players to ever live. Mitch McConnell, on the other hand, said, I want to be an elected official and campaigned on this with millions of dollars to society.
But isn't that the point, Ashton? Isn't the point of the advocacy specifically with professional athletes because the Mitch McConnells, or I should just say elected officials, aren't doing their thing?
100%. But the issue, though, is who gets more attention for what they aren't doing for social justice and advocacy? Is it LeBron James or is it Cameron? And this is the issue. This is the issue. Platform does not equal to effect. LeBron James' platform does not have the same effect of Mike Pence. Okay. Here's my issue. The issue is that LeBron James, I am so grateful for the work that he has done. Bravo to that brother. Thank you. But guess what? What if he just wanted to wake up, be the basketball players that ever lived, be a great father, take care of his family, and move on? And this is the issue.
I mean, like Michael Jordan.
Exactly. And we put these issues, literally since 1776, the issues of white America, it's white supremacy and issues, we put them on black people who are just basketball players. Also,
to solve them.
Also, guess what? LeBron James never studied policy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He never did any of these things. So the expectation that this brother is going to walk off of he literally said, I am a savant at basketball. That is really what he is spending millions of dollars into his body to be the best basketball player to ever live. But yet and still, the meter is set in him to literally change society.
But I'm going to push back. So I agree with you. Like it shouldn't be their responsibility, but they are also still Black in America, period. Right? Like, so for me, it's like, you come from these communities that are affected the most and you have a platform. Use your platform, not your requirement, but use your platform because you have millions of viewers, millions of people that are watching what you do and are listening. I can't tell you how many white kids are like, I want to be LeBron James. I want to do this. Now, if you change that narrative and inject the social injustice that is happening in our communities, then maybe we can make the change that we want. But to that effect, like, I commend LeBron for everything that he's done. Not his requirement, but that brother, to me, he is doing some amazing work that puts him on a pedestal that I don't think that many other athletes have ever been on because of, look at this. You take what they did with the holdout for the NBA playoffs or whatever, and now look at what's happened. Voter education and voter registration in the Black community alone, like that right there.
Let me get you right there, Marcus. Perfect example. You just put it right there. What I need to hear. You said LeBron is put on a pedestal because of his social advocacy work, correct? That's what I'm talking about. The pedestal that he's elevated because he's doing more that you know of than literally civil servants who are literally in place. That's my issue, is that the fact of the matter is that we're not looking at literally our state senators, our governors, our Supreme Court justices. We have time to look at what LeBron's doing. That's the issue. You know what I'm saying? The fact of the matter that Colin Kaepernick could be the Time Man of America, Time Man of the Year, because of what S was over whoever the president was at the time, the problem.
But you're right. It is 100% the problem. I agree with you. But it's also going to infect the change that is needed in this country.
But see, here again, that is a belief that over time is shown to be different, that's true, not to be true, because we've had our Muhammad Ali's, we've had our Jim Browns, we've had all these different people we've shown on a field of entertainment maybe push a needle, but policy change
that's not what it gets to.
Is at the hands of Daniel Cameron. So ultimately, when at the end of the day, LeBron could go create 1 million schools, which is beautiful, right? But yet and still, he's going to create more people who are going to be successful Blacks in America who could still be Breonna Taylors.
if you don't get policy change. And that is my issue, is that we need to stop focusing on the great thing that LeBron is doing and focus on the people who are 100%.
But that's like saying that's like saying we're not ambidextrous. We can't do two things at one time, but we can. We can celebrate these athletes that are putting literally paychecks and job opportunities on the line while challenging the system as well. Now, I'm not saying we're not doing that, but I'm saying we could.
And no, I agree, because black folks are. I'm not saying we're not, but I'm saying this is simply to push back to any time I hear folks, because there was a big issue when the NBA players went back to the court. Furious. You know what I'm saying? People were literally like, they didn't want it.
I definitely agree that it shouldn't be a requirement, right? It definitely should not be a requirement. But at the same time, if we understand how America works as far as money is key, and if LeBron James is the highest earner for America, for whatever company he is come across, and he speaks to the black issue, that has a domino effect. Not to say that the politicians shouldn't or they should not do what they should be doing, but if he speaks to it, then maybe that helps that politician put something in place. And it's also, one more thing, and it's outside, like we also know with politicians, they have to shake a lot of hands. It's not a direct thing. So yeah, they want to help, but their hands can be tied up. So if they hearing like a LeBron James that's bringing in $100 million for America, he's speaking to it. Now, when they say something to it, we can put both of them together.
And this is more of the broader scale of what I'm saying as well, is the burden of society's ills in the United States is put on the back of LeBron James, but isn't put on not only our policymakers and Mitch McConnell, it's not put on the Jeff Bezos. It's not put on the Tom Brady's. So that is my issue, because if we're going to say it, right, if you're saying athletes with platforms, there are literally athletes at the level of LeBron who don't look like LeBron. And yet and still the burden is put on LeBron James to be this supernatural human being.
I don't think a burden is put on LeBron James. My thing is, just like voting, you go around, you say, hey, you want to vote? You want to sign up to vote? Some people say no. You tell them why you think it's a good thing for them to do it. If they don't say no, you move on to somebody that's going to listen to you. Just like LeBron James. I feel like if you want to shut up and play basketball, do that. I respect that. But if you speak your opinion on something, you just join the committee to fix it. Period.
So here's my issue. Have we ever heard any other athlete being tweeted directly from this current president of the United States?
He's trolling. We know that.
Yeah, you got to think about that part.
But again, my issue is that still the face of advocacy when it comes to athletes is black bodies.
So
go ahead.
I guess my question is, why not them? Why not them? You have million people, sponsors, endorsers. They pay literally hundreds and millions of dollars for these guys to smile in the camera and talk about a Sprite or a pair of sneakers. They're advocating for our community and people that look like them for free. They're sacrificing all those endorsements. That word that they give is so influential. So let's just say, so why not? Why can't you speak up on black issues? Why shouldn't you? Your platform is big enough. Now, should you have to? Of course not. No, you don't have to. But I think for us to just say that it's a shame for them to do it, I don't want to fall into that shut up and dribble side of things. Because if we're dismissive of them saying it, and then we look to Daniel Cameron and Mitch McConnell, we still are negating the fact that LeBron James does have influence. He does have power, because that guy can also influence someone else that can turn into the fix for Daniel Cameron or Mitch McConnell. He can literally influence the future of that by building the schools, by just playing ball and speaking on it. Think about just Mike himself, Jordan. Think about how all of us in some kind of way, I don't care what it is, we've all in some kind of way tried to replicate something that Michael Jordan's done. Sneakers, the baggy shorts, the way we dribble the ball, whatever it is, we tried to do that. Imagine if Mike would have spoke out the way LeBron did. it might have triggered something in us a lot sooner than we've already grown into. And that's not, I'm not blaming Michael Jordan, or that's not what I'm doing.
Because I'm forgetting.
Hold on.
4 words. 4 words.
No, because 4 words turn into 50 in a second.
Yeah.
So hold on, let Jermaine finish his thought, and I gotta get Zoe in, and then I'll come back.
I'm not saying that any athlete is at fault or anything like that, but what I'm saying is that their platforms are large enough that if they have it in their heart and they feel it enough to speak on it, then I think we should embrace that. And literally right now, let's just face it, the system, the way it is, we're losing. So any help we get, damn it, we should take it. You know?
And to piggyback off that, it would, ideally, they shouldn't have to, but this isn't the reality. You know what I'm saying? Based off what we're going through and what we're trying to push towards, much like you're saying, we need all the help we can get. And I was reflecting on this question, and there's a passage in Romans, I think it's like the strong bear the infirmities of the weak. We've championed these people. These are our people. You know what I'm saying? It's Jordan's, we pay these people, you know what I'm saying? So you have to speak up for the people that are speaking up for you.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm so glad that you all have joined us today at Black with No Chaser, Talk 37. I'm about to bring in the 2 co-hosts with me tonight, Pastor Watts and Marcus with Black with No Chaser. Let's bring them in.
Hey.
What's good, guys? How y'all doing?
What's up, SIKA? How are you?
I'm good. Hold on. Let me get Marcus up in here.
All right.
What's going on, family? How y'all feeling?
What's good, fam? How you today?
Hey, I'm black and blessed.
Black and blessed.
What's up, Marcus?
Hey, what's good, Pastor B?
I'm good, man.
So listen, that was a wonderful, wonderful 30 minutes. And I want the audience to know that there's plenty more that they can go and see on Talk 37, the YouTube channel. And we are here to hold a little further discussion of the things that you guys were discussing in the film. Now, Pastor, can you explain to the audience exactly what Talk 37 is and how you came about with it?
Yeah, for sure. Let me first start by saying, man, it's an honor to be talking with you guys tonight. SIKA, you have been such an amazing asset for Talk 37 and just really championed a lot of, the goals and the hopes of what Talk 37 is. So just wanted to give you a shout out, and I'm really honored to be able to have you talk to us tonight and moderate this conversation. You're really a big deal, so grateful for you. So Talk 37 really got birthed, I'll say over the summertime. I do a month-long sabbatical in August, kind of just a time to refresh and kind of reset. And it was around that time that I started to think about just all the stuff that was going on with the pandemic. When I say pandemic, I mean Black people being in 2 pandemics. There's a health crisis, but then there is so much injustice around us that sometimes feel like an even greater pandemic than the health crisis that we're in. And so, I think with just everything going on, I felt the need to really do a couple of things. I wanted to make sure that we did some action items personally as a church and as a pastor here in Brooklyn. We did some praying protests and literally had, close to 1,000 people in the streets of Brooklyn just walking and praying, going to the precincts and praying. But I realized more dialogue needed to happen. And so Talk 37 was birthed out of this idea of making sure we had dialogue around Black issues, specifically Black issues that are culturally relevant. So in this case, on this last conversation, we had conversation about Breonna Taylor, because that was fresh in the news. Daniel Cameron dropped that news September 23rd. What's up, fellas? And then I'll wrap this up. And then we had just a lot of injustice going on throughout the month of, from really March up until now. And so the brothers that are on this docu-series, if you will, are all brothers that meet up on a weekly basis anyway. We have a book club. And so I was like, man, let's start something that we could publish, because we've been talking a lot on our own. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me? Are you good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, we talk every Tuesday, so I'm like, man, let's put this out. But I do want to say we want to broaden Talk 37, so it's not just a group of men, although I love sitting around a group of black men and talking. The next one we want to do is generational, so we want to get some OGs in the room and hear from them and have them like kind of give us some sage wisdom. I want to sit down with the LGBTQ community. Personally, as a pastor, I feel like we have not worked well with that community, and so I kind of want to just hear some of the hardships and gripes that they have specifically with clergy or with church. And then I'm gonna sit down with a group of black women and talk to black women and hear their thoughts. And so there's more that's coming from it. Last thing I'll say, SIKA, is Talk 37 is birthed straight from Scripture. As a pastor, I believe in the totality of Scripture, and there's a verse tucked away in Ecclesiastes 3:7, and it says it's a time to be silent, but then it says it's a time to speak. And so I'm focusing on the latter end. The time to speak for us is now. So Talk 37 is really Ecclesiastes 3:7. I just kind of masked it up a little bit to make it more palatable for those who don't adhere to Scripture.
I think that's beautiful. That's a beautiful connection, and it makes sense that you have flipped it so it's relatable to everybody. You know, everything doesn't have to stick to the Scripture for us to still understand what the Scripture is saying. And I appreciate you flipping it so that everyone could have a relatability to the 3:7, because at the end of the day, that phrase is true, it's tried and true. Now, one thing I want to ask everyone, I need everyone to answer this question. When you guys were getting ready to go sit in this room, knowing that it was going to be 9 individuals, when you left, did you leave with different opinions, seeing that you had to listen to 8 other opinions outside of yourself? Did you leave with a total different perspective with the topics that you guys brought?
I'll go and go. I'll say that it was like we have these conversations.
I can go, but
what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I was saying that we have these conversations weekly, and so we go back and forth, and like we really get into the thick of things. And so for me, yes, this was eye-opening just to hear the other point of view on certain things, because there is not one right way for anything, and as Pastor B alluded to in the film, is that we're not monolithic either, and so we can hear each other out and find out kind of why we think differently and what brings us together. And honestly, like some of the answers that the brothers had, it did open up my eyes to ways in which we can do more for our community. So ultimately, yeah, in my opinion.
Hassan?
Hey, Sika. I would have to echo those sentiments from Marcus. I did, like you said, we're on a call every Tuesday, and we have such great dialogue. When we first started, we were on maybe an hour. Pastor B was very strict with that hour, but man, after a month or two, you're talking 2 hours, 2.5 hours, because it's so. Not only are we talking about the book, but we're talking about everything else. And one thing I really learned and appreciated during our talk was when Ashton was talking about the role of the Black woman. And I mean, that was really, really eye-opening for me, just to hear his knowledge of that. And it's almost like a aha moment, because it's like, you kind of know it. Most of us are, raised by women only, like I was. And we know their strength, but, to hear it in words and to hear him just drop the names, it was just like, wow. And again, even with this election, you see somebody like a Stacey Abrams, she's a freaking superhero of this election. You know what I'm saying? 800,000 suppressed voters. I mean, for her to take her loss as governor, which, by the way, was done by voter suppression, because she actually should have won. That's a whole nother topic. But she took that pain and look what she did. So again, the role of the Black woman, again, in our faces. So I think it's great, man. And this dialogue, like you said, we got much more to talk about. So yeah.
Ashton, let us hear from you.
Yeah, hey, thank you again, Sika, for hosting us. This is super dope, man. We
No
definitely grateful,
problem,
man.
bro.
Yeah,
Happy here.
thank you. Yeah, I think this is like essentially just us every Tuesday, as Hassan said. This definitely nothing new. I think the blessing, the one blessing of COVID was this group think that we have going on right here, and being able to just
Yes.
kind of like be on pause and really just vent to one another about this Black experience and also grow. You know what I mean? Especially us being Black men, it's very important that we continue to not just like remain in what was passed down to us as far as our beliefs and really expound upon these things so that the next generation sees this thing in such a broad experience. So that was definitely from my perspective. And I'm really glad that we are amplifying Black women and their voices and also not putting things on them, like being strong. You know what I mean? Like that's something like, with they're human beings, you know what I'm saying? They should have like, the stereotype of being strong or have to be strong. You know what I mean? It's just people, you know what I mean? And I think that's the beautiful thing about Stacey Abrams and our modern day Ella Baker, you know what I mean, in her lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? That we get to talk about. And then for the world to see, this is the conversations that Black men have. This ain't nothing special. You know what I mean? Like these are the things that we talk about all the time, and I'm just glad that we had an opportunity for other people to see it.
King Nosa, let's hear from you, brother.
Again, I want to say thank you. I'm just happy to be a part of this. It's like so dope to me.
Y'all are so
To
good
add,
to me.
to answer your question, yes. Even dealing with my brother and Ted, we have these conversations like these other brothers mentioned all the time. Every Tuesday we go back and challenge your thoughts and the way we think. But my brother and Ted has definitely opened my eyes up and made me look a little deeper into what might be a challenging or a different point of view, right? So that's always an opening for me. So to answer your question, yes, it always is, and it's a good thing. You don't always want to just have the same point of view as everyone else as well, right? So
That's true. I mean, you do
yeah.
want to walk away from the table learning something so you can be a little better. And that's one thing that I appreciated from watching every single one of you guys' perspective. It showed me that perspective really is according to what your experience is in life. Everyone's perspective cannot be the same, and it's okay. It's definitely okay. And I think it's very strong for Black men to see other Black men have these type of conversations that aren't easy type of conversations to have, but you guys were able to navigate through it regardless of the tensions rising high and regardless of the opinions not being on the same level. You guys still managed to find an understanding of one another, and that's one thing that the world needs to see more of, because they don't think that we can communicate in this way. They don't think that we have conversations like this. The truth be told, this is all we do when we're not having to be at work on someone else's time. But when we are on our own time, on our own accord, we are strategizing and figuring out what we want to do and how we want to move further with our success and with our family. And you guys, as Black men, I think that it's very instrumental. If any of you are fathers, I know Marcus is, but if any of you are fathers, I think this is very, very important for them to see you guys moving in this type of way, because it's not easy to do. We know that Black men are targets day in, day out. So for you guys to stand on your 10 toes, stand on it firm, and be able to have these conversations and be able to be filmed and comfortably filmed and sharing it with the world, I just want to commend all of you for just having those tough conversations, because it's not easy, especially on camera, especially on camera. How many of you are camera shy?
I'll say that I definitely am. Shit, you heard me stuttering up there. Shit.
No, nobody. We used to the spotlight. We come from.
I think the production
Come
team,
on, superstar.
the
Come on
production
now.
team did the production team did such a good job and made everybody feel pretty comfortable. I think
True that.
it was almost like they weren't in the room.
Yeah, most definitely.
Is that a ghost talking?
It sounds like a ghost.
Hey,
I'm
man.
definitely
Hey,
not.
Hassan, you know where he at, right, bro?
I know he is.
Listen, I see that it's two brothers on here with the last name Co. Are y'all actually brothers?
Yeah, 100% blood brothers. Same mama, same daddy.
You couldn't tell in the video?
Oh, I could tell.
You
I
couldn't
could
tell?
tell, but I didn't want
My
to.
wife didn't believe me.
Word? Hassan, straight up?
She did not. She said, "There's no way they brothers." I said, "They're
Okay.
blood brothers."
So, I'm going to cut y'all off. We are blood brothers, but we are, I wouldn't even say two ends on the spectrum. You know what I mean? We like grew up together. Everything is the same, but you make your own path in life. You know what I mean? You make your own path in life. What you believe in, what you read, what you feed yourself in life. But love them the same. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to them, even though we don't agree on a lot of things. You know what I mean? Nothing will ever happen to them. We good.
Oh, we know that. We know that.
Straight up.
Looks like we lost SIKA real quick, but while SIKA comes back, I just want to know, what did this, Lorenzo, I want to hear from you. What did this experience kind of do for you?
So I've never been a part of something like this. I embraced it. I'm glad that we had the opportunity to just kind of show what we do on a weekly basis. It just gave me a different type of exposure to these type of settings as far as production and things go. That was kind of my biggest takeaway. Like I said, I've never been a part of like a production like this, so it was cool to see it in real time. So yeah.
Cool. And so we got SIKA back. You can take over. I just was, filling space.
Look, I appreciate you taking over. The internet did something crazy to me over here. So listen, I'm trying to get Pastor back up in here, but
Hey, can y'all not see me?
Okay, I think he's in here now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
Can y'all hear me?
I was having internet issues, SIKA. I'm here.
Oh, damn. Looks like we lost SIKA again. Looks like the internet don't want us to be great, huh?
Man, straight up.
So
did everybody talk, Marcus, about the experience and everything?
So everyone knows. So let's see.
Okay.
SIKA's back. So after SIKA asked Pastor B, then maybe we can dig into that.
Okay.
Are y'all able to hear me right now?
Yes.
You're good.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. It's raining here in Atlanta. My apologies. The internet is doing something crazy. But what I wanted to ask was the conversation between the Cole brothers. Of course, I was going to ask this. Now, had you guys had this conversation before entering this room? Because it just seemed like y'all were ready. Like y'all were just so ready. So I just want to know, like, were y'all holding on to that conversation for this room, or
nah? So again, like I forget who was saying it. Like the conversation that we had when we recording, that's the conversation we have every week. Everybody on here know we have heated conversations every week. It's not for no show, not for no camera. It was just a question that was brought on by Pastor B, and I'm passionate about certain things. You know what I mean? Like
I feel you.
it again, like I said, everybody got their own opinion. He has his, I have mine. But at the end of the day, like, I'm riding with him regardless. You know what I mean? We have disagreements.
As you should.
And yeah, most definitely. But we never had the conversation before. We never talked about it. A lot of political things I understand we don't agree on. But no, that was honestly the first conversation we had as far as like the Breonna Taylor situation. And I'm passionate about it. And so he is, you know what I mean? But that, like, they made us feel so comfortable, like on a Tuesday night when we have our conversations, that's just what it is. We argue all the time. We disagree all the time. With all the brothers, everybody on here, we don't agree with everything at all.
That's necessary.
Hey, Ashton, no. We talk almost every single day, and I don't agree with 90% of what he say. We're gonna argue tomorrow.
Yeah, but
me and Ashton gonna argue tomorrow. Me and him gonna argue tomorrow. But go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, no. So I appreciate the question as far as calling it the brothers thing, but we there's some things that we are on the opposite sides of, but I was probably saying, more often than not, there might be things that in principle we're in the same space as, we might just approach it from different angles. And I think sometimes that can get misconstrued as being in complete disagreement, but we just view it, we just have a different perspective. But underlying is the same principle, same principles.
Well said.
See, that would definitely be an argument because underlying principle.
See, you just
we'll talk
in,
later.
you just,
We'll talk later. Go ahead.
That's interesting. So I want to touch bases on the athletic. What am I trying to say? Activism, athletic activism. There we go. A little brain fart there. Now, one thing that I saw about you guys is the transformation of your opinions through. When you started off, you guys were kind of just basically saying, like Ashton, for instance, he was saying that he agreed that he wanted people to use their platform. Well, this morning on our talk show, we actually had this conversation and we were discussing the importance of celebrities actually using.
Oh, damn. So on the talk show,
you know the devil don't like what happened in Atlanta.
Hey, straight up. Rest in peace to that good brother, man. Word up.
But here she comes back. I'll say I can fill in because I watched the talk show today, but she got it. She back.
They won't let me be great.
You good, Stu?
They won't let me be great.
I hate the internet. Hate them.
But I hate the internet. But what I was saying, I was speaking on athletic activism, and I was referring to Dave Chappelle's stand-up when he spoke on this, and he was speaking along the lines of not wanting to step out as a celebrity because he was going to take away from the fight, and that the people were doing a great job with the fight. And I actually understood what he was saying because of the fact that his celebrityism could take away from it. It could turn into, hey, this is a Dave Chappelle thing and we're going to follow him and not necessarily be following the message that they need to be following. So it's very important that we realize and understand that some athletes are just not equipped or qualified to be standing in the forefront, on the front lines of certain acts, certain stands that we need people that are qualified to do those certain things. And I find it very, very interesting that LeBron is looked at as one of those that needs to be more vocal or not necessarily more vocal because he is vocal, but I believe that a lot of people still expect a little bit more from him than he probably really is willing to give. And I give him credit for what he is doing and what he has done. But let's be real, we cannot be the saviors and the targets.
At the same time, understood, Sika. You getting dismissed. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, so but she's right. There are did y'all see the interview with LeBron when they was asking him about the book that he was reading and he just fumbled through it for God knows how long because he didn't actually read the book? Like that's an example of he's not there yet, but he's trying to put in the work, right? So in my opinion, it's like he needs to he needs some time to get there, but he does have a platform. I see, but it's not all on his burden. So I'll kick it back over to Sika.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what you were saying, but I'm sure whatever you were saying was correct. Now, I think I want to pass it over to Pastor as far as his opinion on athletic activism.
You know, Sika, in the conversation that we had, that we filmed, you know, I really wanted to make sure I gave. I actually thought I was going to hear more from Christian in that when we recorded everything, because on our Tuesday nights when we have our meetings, this was a hot topic, and I know this was not a topic that we took lightly, and all of us are passionate about it. It's kind of what Christian and Tess were saying, which was, we all agree on the location, but sometimes how to get there. It's like I can tell you 10 ways how to get to my house from downtown Brooklyn. And I don't mean, the other 9 are wrong. It's just all got different ways to how to get there. So I think that's kind of how we approached it. But I'll say this. I think I agree with, in principle, I agree with what Ashton was saying in the film, which was, we shouldn't have to be the targets and the savior. What if these guys just wanted to go and play basketball and, or whatever sport it is. But I think I lean heavier on the opposite side, which is I don't only think that athletes need to be activists. I believe every Black person, no matter what field you work in, needs to be speaking up on some level. Now here's what I need to just give a quick caveat. I do agree. There are some people that, will go into like lawmaking and policy but I believe wherever you are on whatever platform you have, I think we have a responsibility as Black people for other Black people and for the next generation that's after us. I think we have a responsibility to speak up. Let me just say one more point and then I'll pass it off. One of the things that I think Zoe said, and he articulated it so well, I think it was Nos and Zoe, and maybe even Jermaine, which is not on with us tonight. Shout out to him. One of the things that they were talking about was the influence. And so how this athlete, whoever it is, right now we're saying LeBron, but whoever the athlete is, that person doesn't only have a platform, but he now also, or she now has a lot of influence. And who's to say that they're not going to influence some 6-year-old kid that will turn around to be the policymaker in the future, will turn around to be the attorney generals in Kentucky in the future. And so I just believe that everybody, no matter what part you play, no matter what you do, we all need to come together. That is the major gripe I have with our people. And I can speak for our people because I love Black people. The major gripe I have with our people is that we often are not on the same page with a lot of stuff. And I think it's hindering us. It's hurting us more than ever. If LeBron James doesn't have to do activism, that then says to 100,000 other people, Black people, hey, I don't have to do it either because my hero wasn't doing it. And so I kind of agree with Ashton, but I also am on the opposite side too.
I can agree with that. I can agree with you saying that. I mean, we have a lot of young boys and young girls that are looking at people like Obama and that are looking at Kamala Harris, and just seeing role models in particular positions is important for our children to see that. So once again, like you said, you can give us 10 different directions to your house, 9 different directions, and all of them can still be right. And there's more than one way to skin a cat, for lack of better words. Who wants to take on this question as well? What is some other thoughts about athletic activism?
Yeah, I'll hop in real quick.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead,
No. Go ahead. I'll say my spiel now. After you, go ahead, because I know we're about to get into it. But go ahead.
Yeah. I definitely still on the other spectrum of it. I think, and this again, because it comes from me wholeheartedly believing in athletic activism. Specifically Black athletes, because they primarily the only ones who do it. But again, I feel like I'm sorry. What's this? I didn't hear you. Okay.
His internet's hating on him, just like mine's hating on me.
That's all good. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, though, I think we're still repeating history, right? We've seen what activism can do from Black bodies, and if this is Muhammad Ali, if this is Serena Williams, we've seen what it can do, and it can do great things, and it can inspire
Y'all
those.
able to hear me right now?
Yeah,
you're good.
Yep.
Okay,
but I think
I'm not sure what's going on with Ashton, so we're gonna pass it on.
Oh, we can hear him.
We can hear Ashton clearly.
Yeah. We can hear Ashton.
Oh, I couldn't hear him. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Oh, it's all good.
Let me be quiet.
It's all good. No, I think my perspective is just that we need to really focus on these policy makers, and I think the biggest trick that unfortunately society is playing on our people is to focus on the Black bodies as opposed to those in power. Literally, the people who are policymakers, the Mitch McConnells, the Mike Pences, the Daniel Camerons, like we literally don't have 10 seconds to worry about what LeBron is doing. And when we get tweets from 45 that focus on what LeBron is doing or what Kaepernick is doing in this protest, which are great things, but ultimately those protests, the protest isn't the focus. The issue is, why are they protesting? And I think that's where we lose it. When we focus on the bodies that are protesting, as opposed to like, why are we consistently waiting? We're still waiting for policy change. And those policymakers who are not pushing things through the House, these bills that we need for our communities to end redlining, to end voter oppression, those are the things that we need to focus on. And when we focus on NBA players holding out on the basketball court or Black Lives Matter on the back of a basketball jersey, that's when we lose focus. That's just my opinion.
But go ahead, Christian. Go ahead. You were first. I got next.
So, Ashton, watching the video again that we watched, you said something. LeBron James is potentially making another Breonna Taylor from his schools and stuff like that. Am I correct? Because
no, I said LeBron James can create another school.
True that.
Right. And then that can birth a beautiful black girl who's going to attend that school. Right. And then she can be sleeping in bed and not be held accountable by police officers when the attorney general doesn't do the job. Right. Understood. So again, at the end of the day, so I'm saying like policy is what we need. You know what I'm saying? We can have jerseys, we can have commercials, we can have programs.
I feel you. So what I was saying was, like Pastor B said, it's two ends of the spectrum. LeBron James can create another Mike Pence, Dave Cameron, and who else you said? Whatever. But they can create that as well. I personally think, you know what I think the black plight is integration. We should have stayed separate. Yeah. I think that personally that we try way too hard to be accepted by people that don't want us. We should have stayed integrated. It should never have been integration in no school system. So you see
Christian, with that thought process, then you should be believing what I'm saying then, because you can't look at a black body to fix a white society. Then that's what I'm saying.
No. We are put in a position that, like Pastor B said, we need every black person that counts. Like Dave Chappelle. Hold on. Just like Dave Chappelle said, he said that, I don't want to interrupt something that's already going on. Dude, your power is more than the people that's going on. You could put this on a whole nother platform.
So
Chappelle played that right? Because at the end of the day, if Ice Cube would have thought like that, he wouldn't have stepped in front of a line of years of grassroots activists who are putting in the work, who are not getting the spotlight, to use his platform to think he's gonna go politic with 45. Because you got to think about this. Just think about this, right? Hear me out.
Go
think
ahead.
of all the work that Stacey Abrams was doing. Could have been undermined by Ice Cube, who had a Starbucks coffee and said, because I'm part of NWA, I got, 5 minutes to write an email to the 45, and I'm just going to supersede, not even question all these black bodies who are doing stuff when it's not sexy. Right? It's sexy right now to be an activist. Right? So when you got 5 minutes, that's what I'm saying. When you don't know these things, you're not studying, you're not well versed, that's when you lose.
But it would have been sexy if Ice Cube went with Stacey Abrams and had her back. It was like, yo,
if he was actually in the game, though, he don't do this. You know what I'm saying? It's just,
but his platform, all he had to do was do the opposite. Go see Stacey Abrams, say, hey, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to publicize to make this better than what it is?
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying to you, is that Stacey
That's what he's saying. He tried to circumvent
is a policy maker. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We don't have to circumvent that and use his power. But exactly. We don't have time. At the end of the day, bro, you don't go to Best Buy looking for a birthday cake. Bro, at the end of the day, you go where specialty is. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. We need to focus on the matter at hand. Stop looking at basketball players to push the needle on social justice issues. That's crazy.
But why wouldn't LeBron James say, okay, Stacey Abrams, what do you need me to do to make this a broader platform?
He's not doing that.
I'm asking you, is something wrong with that though?
No, that's fine. But
I don't think anything is wrong with that, but I think that he probably hasn't done something of that nature because, in all honesty, my opinion, I don't think he relates enough.
That part. So there's a couple thing though that one, if people go and watch the rest of the film, we talk about how Maya Moore is doing amazing things as an activist, and she's a professional women's basketball player. So definitely tune in and watch the rest of the film on YouTube, Talk 37. But also the other piece is that LeBron is doing some amazing things though from the standpoint of Black policy, legislation, things that happen to do with policy is not sexy to the Black community because oftentimes the content is it's just like it's nothing that we really want to dig into. But now you have someone like LeBron James and the rest of the NBA and WNBA association that is highlighting and doing voter education, voter registration, that is doing things to make our community much more aware of the policies that are being created so that we can then in turn hold Mitch McConnell and all these AGs and everyone else accountable for the shit that they're doing. So I think that it can be a multi-pronged approach. But what you have is you have someone who is the biggest star in the world and also is relatable to the Black community to some degree and highlighting the issues that we have in our community and how to register to make the change. So I think it can be multiple ways.
I completely agree. Now, one thing that I feel we need to.
Oh, damn. One thing you need to what?
Hey, everybody, are we getting SIKA back in? Let me see if she's in with the internet. I see her moving. Yeah, that ring got her. Hey, so while she's trying to come back in, can I ask a question, Marcus? Can I jump in? So, even the more Ashton talks about it, and actually, I'm not calling you out, brother, but the more you talk about it, the more it's like, I don't know, it's just like pondering in my mind. Based on what you're saying, let's just remove athletes and let's just say Black people in general, right? Like, what if I just wanted to go to work, collect a paycheck, provide for my family, and then that's it. I don't want to do anything else. Based on what you're saying, I now have a path to do that, right? But what if you get some of these heroes that even you celebrate? What if you get Martin Luther King, like, man, I'm a preacher, I just want to preach. What if you get Malcolm X, like, man, I just want to sit on the corner of Harlem and restore dignity in the Black community just in this part of the world? What if and none of these guys have studied policy? Like that's one of your arguments, right? Like LeBron James never studied policy. Well, Martin Luther King never studied policy. He went to Crozer for theology. He went to Morehouse for sociology. These guys never studied policy, but because he used his platform and leveraged it well, you get a 1965 Voters Act. And so the point I'm making is you don't have to know policy to lend your platform. I think you partner with people that know policy. So you have the Sean Kings of the world. You have some of these other people, the Lee Merritt, some of these guys who are in the legal system. You lend your platform, kind of like what Christian was saying to you, like a LeBron James saying, Stacey, how can I help? I'm not saying he would. I'm just saying, man, we got this runoff race coming up. Y'all voting in January. How can I help? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if Martin Luther King and Malcolm X both said, I don't feel like doing that. I just want to do what I'm really gifted to do.
Yeah, and I think what I'm saying is from the aspect of the fact that we know what Maya Moore has done as far as social justice. We know what LeBron's done. We know what Ice Cube said he was attempting to do, but we don't know what's on the House and Senate floor for our communities. We don't know those things that actually matter. And that is what I'm saying is the focus is always on Black bodies and what they're doing and not the policies that we actually need in our community, which are being mandated by people that don't look like us. And what I'm saying is the focus has to totally get off of Colin Kaepernick kneeling and the fact that this platinum plan that Ice Cube thought he was going to push with President Trump is like 10% of a plan that's actually been sitting on the floor that Mitch McConnell hasn't pushed, like he just hadn't signed off on. And that is really what I'm saying is that we've got to shift the focus to really these things that matter. Like these policymakers that have ran this country since 1776 haven't changed, they're literally, it's the same people in power. We have it outside of Barack Hussein Obama and now Kamala Harris. We have never had any Black folks in the White House, period, since then. The poorest states in the country are still ran by 9 Republican governors. So I'm saying is that we need to focus literally on those people. And once we know more of facts about these people and what they're doing and not doing, and less about what our athletes are doing, everything's going to change. And we have consistently for the last 60 years since Black people have had just an opportunity to play on these entertainment fields, we've put a lot of these pressures on their back because we've starting to see them. We've thought that they're at the table. So because we think they're at the table, we put the onus on them to push the needle. And I get it. But the thing is, what I'm saying is we have to change the focus. Like, oh, a basketball player should not and cannot change the trajectory of society. Like, period, point blank, period. It is what it is. It just is what it is. We can't smooth it over no matter how we try to. We can't do it. But at the end of the day, this runoff that's about to take place in Georgia in January, yeah, that's going to affect some things. And we have to decide really how many people are interested and know about that election, right? How many people do? And in comparison to the NBA, you know what I'm saying, CBA, and start back on December 22nd. They know about these things. And that is something that I feel like it has to change.
So I got one comment and then I'll let somebody else have it and I'm done. So Ashley,
okay,
you're a kid, right? You're a kid, right? And you can't front anybody that's on here. I don't want to curse, but anybody that's on here, if Jordan did what LeBron James did and Jordan said, hey, this is who I'm voting for, everybody will vote for him. Regardless, everybody will vote for him. So that's his platform, right? And you saying the governors, the senators, the all these positions, we so far behind 400 years. We need people to say, hey, vote for them because they control the masses. It's not about the little guys that we don't know about because these people vote. Do you think that if Diddy or when they had to vote or die, you think if they did the vote or die that we would vote? A lot of people would not vote if they didn't do that because they followed their movement. It's a movement in place for that. You see what I'm saying? Not saying that they on the front line or they doing this or we shouldn't follow them. If people don't want to stand up in the front line, LeBron James, like I said, if you want to say shut up and dribble, cool. I feel you on that. But if you make a comment about something, then you join the committee. As my dean said, you join the committee to fix it. You see what I'm saying? So it's not.
I see both sides. I definitely see both sides.
Go ahead, son.
I'm sorry, Christian.
No, go ahead, bro. No, you all good, bro. Go ahead.
I see both sides, and I think the more we talk about it, I really understand Ashton's point more. Because again, if policy was more in place, Breonna Taylor would still be here, right? Because they literally just burst into her doors because of a no-knock warrant. A lot of this stuff, wanton endangerment, we didn't hear anything about any of this. But these are the things that happens within our community that we have no idea about. Because what do? We vote straight down the line. We vote because we vote Democrat because our grandmother did or our mother did. And it's, within our community to do so. So I get what he's saying. But then on the flip side, you have somebody like a Muhammad Ali. Of course, we know him as the heavyweight champion in the world, but we know him more for taking a stand and not going to the Vietnam War because that was some bullcrap. And I'm not going to this white man's war. What have you done for me? So we know him more for that. So I think we need both. I think that we need a good mixture of both. The fact that LeBron is doing what he's doing is admirable and it's honorable because growing up, I worshiped Michael Jordan. But now that I'm older, I'm looking at it like, dang, I wish Mike was more in the forefront back then because that could have, changed a whole lot in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? If he was more like a LeBron, but he was, Mike threw a lot of money at stuff as opposed to being out there on the front line. So I think we need a little bit of both. But the policy thing is definitely what needs to be changed the most in our communities.
But I feel like that's what LeBron is doing. He's bringing awareness for change. Like I really do feel like that's what the athletes are doing right now. Some of them are going off the cuff and not paying attention to the people that are actually doing the work. But some people are educating the folks so that we can make those policy changes. So, and again, we're voting every 2 years, not every 4. There's so much that we have to learn in the Black community in order to make the actual policy changes that we want. So I think that there are some questions that are coming in from the crowd. So I kind of want to turn it back over to SIKA.
Hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you, Sika.
Okay, so what do you think about pro athletes running for office?
Donald Trump as the president.
If Trump could do it, anybody could do it.
No, I definitely feel like as long as they understand the policy and know what's going on, it's very important that we don't take your fame for a reason to put you in office, right? Trump got in office because of that, and we are hurting big time for it. So whether you black or white, we should not let fame be the reason why you put in these positions.
Yeah, I want to definitely throw this out there in regard to this whole the overarching scenario of this conversation, right? When we as a people get to the point where we desire more for the advocacy as opposed to the advocate, we're gonna change the game. Because at the end of the day, that is
now I need you to explain that. Explain that to the audience because everyone is not gonna understand exactly what you're saying with that. So explain that.
Actually need that. We need the advocacy. We need the resources. We need the policy. We don't need any more faces, right? We need to stop normalizing making our people martyrs. That is not the goal. As much as I love Dr. King and I love Malcolm, I hate the fact that they both died in their 30s when they just went to take care of their families, right? That is what we're championing, giving to LeBron and Maya Moore and Serena Williams. We're championing the sins of this country since 1776 and say, here, take this. And that's what I'm saying is that we need to stop normalizing putting this on black bodies and say, you know what? No, let's focus on the policymakers and the policy. And that is where the trajectory has to change. Stop looking to inspire more kids to be Serena, to take on the sins of white supremacy. Fantastic. And say, you know what? I'm going to 100% focus on Joe Biden, do your damn job over these next 8 years. That's what we need to say. And we keep saying, no. I want to see another sports athlete come take these sins. Another black body who said, no, I just want to be a tennis savant. That's all I want to do, right? And y'all go ahead and let Jeff Bezos go to Amazon with no issues in the world.
Oh, I got a whole lot of shit for Jeff Bezos. Don't get me started on that.
That's definitely another conversation.
Yeah. Drop the mic on that one.
Yo, we can't keep looking at other people to save us, bro. We gotta do something for ourselves. I understand what you're saying about the policies and all this stuff. We cannot keep blaming other people for our own personal issues. We know we're not gonna get this from these white people or from whoever. We have to stick together as one people and make it as best as we can. We know we owe reparations. We owe that. I understand that. The only way we could be on the same porch as them is if we get reparations, period. We so far behind, that's what it is. But as a whole, as black people, we so mentally out of it, we crabs in a barrel. I understand what you're saying, but okay, I understand what you're saying. So what now? What do we do now as a people? We know they're not going to give us what we need. We know they're not going to give us what we deserve. We know we're not going to get what we work for. So then what now? What do we do? Keep blaming them and keep making excuses for them? Heck no. We got to make our own way.
Absolutely not.
Welcome to the book club live. Welcome to the book club live, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, I love this book club. Like I know it's for the men, but listen, if there are some men that are watching this broadcast right now, maybe this can inspire you to start a book club. And if not start a book club, maybe this can inspire you to join this one because these type of conversations are important for the community. They're even important for your household. There's no telling what type of knowledge we can get from these conversations. As you continue having these type of conversations, you get to a solution eventually. If not a solution, you get to understanding both sides and you can take jewels away from both sides. And that's the purpose of conversation because we're going to get somewhere if we continue having conversations like this. Pastor, what are you feeling about the conversation for tonight?
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. I like I said in the docu-series, man, I love the competing thoughts. You know, there's a verse in Proverbs 27, I think it's verse 17, that says iron sharpens iron. And honestly, that's what goes on in these conversations, which is why I love that we are broadcasting this. It's that idea of like iron sharpening iron is sparks flying. I think I said it, you know, in the docuseries. This sparks flying, is fire, it's noise, and so that's kind of what this is. I actually would love to give up some time and hear from Tez. Tez has been quiet, and he certainly was one of the most vocal. So if we could, if you don't mind, Sika, if I can give my time, I'll give him a couple minutes. I'd love to hear what he's thinking.
Amazing.
I definitely, I don't
Nah.
mind. I want to hear from him.
No, I appreciate it. You know, for me,
Let's
I'm
go,
really
brother.
curious. Like, I appreciate the folks who took the time to join and actually sit through and watch the video. Some brand new content out there. Some black brothers who they may have never been introduced to before. And they took the time to actually, you know, to digest and, you know, sit through that conversational journey with us, you know, around a bunch of different diversity of thought and content. So I was hoping to hear, you know, a little bit more from the folks out there who might want to engage with us. But, you know, I did want to piggyback off one thing, and I think there's a brother who had a question that didn't get answered. But just one thing I was sitting here thinking, and it's really, it's really along the lines of what Ashton and I think in Principal Christian was getting at as well, is that I think we follow our, you know, great athletes out there, or we look to them for hope or help or something like that. We don't realize that we look to them for hope or help, or to utilize that platform for something that has nothing to do with what built that platform for them. We look for that. We look to them for that stuff just by nature of the fact that they entertain us. But we don't look to our policymakers. We don't realize that we putting all of that on our athletes, black, white, or otherwise, but we're not putting as much energy into our policymakers who actually work for us. These athletes entertain us, period, point blank and period, man. They work to become, you know, multi-million-dollar assets, but they don't work for us, man. You know, like I think someone was talking about the election, the Georgia, the runoff coming up. These local things matter so much, man. And I've been experiencing it on my block, having a tight relationship with so much as your alderwoman. So much can happen. Like you can see real fruit come to bear by having a relationship with your alderwoman. But anyway, yeah, that's just the one thing I was thinking.
Can I say something real quick?
Shoot, man.
Can I say something? So Jordan wasn't an advocate, correct? Y'all all agree, correct? Do y'all all? Yes, shake hands. Yes, he was an advocate, correct? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He was. You just don't know it.
But whatever. But every last one of y'all own a pair of Jordans, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. My wife's watching.
Every one of y'all own a pair of Jordans.
She saw the video.
Every one of y'all own a pair of Jordans. If Jordan would have advocated for anybody that was running for any position of office, y'all would have voted, because that's the type of movement he had. Jordan wanted to shut up and play basketball. I don't hate him for that. It is what it is. If that's what Jordan wanted to do, because Republican buy shoes too, cool. It is what it is. He stayed out the way, right? So if somebody wanted to say, hey, this is what I want to do, I don't understand what's wrong with that. I don't understand why we cannot look to people who we idolize in basketball and idolize their ideas and agree to disagree on certain things. I just don't see it.
Again, Christian, and I agree, but we that's been the same thought process of the last 60 years, though. You know what I mean? Jordan isn't the first athlete, you know what I'm saying, involved in advocacy or not, right? At the end of the day, all the great things that Muhammad Ali and LeBron have done as far as advocacy are concerned, tell me one state or federal law
that
they pushed.
Hey, so
no,
real quick. Who said? I got dog it. I just got brain.
Okay, well, hold on. Hear me out. At the end of the day, right?
I got one for you.
Understand? that advocacy, we need change as far as redlining, as far as job resources, as far as school resources, all these things, housing. Those things that matter. Like, you know, us being consumers and buying into shoes is great. We can do that. We humans, right? But yet still, you know what I'm saying? We was interested in these things when we were 8 or 9 years old. We, you know what I'm saying? Plus man at this point. Our span has to grow. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Understood.
Like, at the end of the day, my father was a fan of Muhammad Ali's advocacy, right? And him championing that, you know what I'm saying, is wonderful and great. But it stops there if we just keep thinking the same way. And that's what I'm saying.
So check this out. Just like they had the bus boycott back in the day with Dr. Martin Luther King, correct? Rosa Parks sat in front of the bus and they boycotted the bus service, correct?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't black people go start their own bus service? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Resources.
They didn't have the resources.
Understood, but they went back to the white people. They went back to them. You see what I'm saying? So what you're saying is that you trying to blame so much on them, but we have to create stuff for ourselves. Like,
yeah, but you need resources though. You can't just pull it out your head.
So we don't have resources now?
No, that's the issue.
So
that's the issue.
We have more resources than we did back in the day.
In comparison to what? In comparison to what? What's the average household salary of a black household in comparison to our white counterparts?
That's
average
totally
black household is $30,000 in comparison to a white household is over.
However, all we got to do is stop buying this, and this, and we would buck up against it. We would change the whole lot. All we got to do is stop shopping.
Hold on. They just said that in just Philadelphia by itself on Black Friday, black people spent $3 billion.
Okay. All right. I mean,
that's really all we got to do.
Spending money and resources are not the same thing.
If you spend money for resources, you
no. You can't. So you telling me spending money
$3 billion and $3 billion.
I agree with you. Hold on. So spending money is that equated to
there's more to it, but that's
water?
the start.
Is that equated to clean water in Michigan in the black community?
$3 billion.
No. Listen. Tell me where the clean water is in Michigan right now.
That ain't the white folks.
No, you can't. No, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that the people that we need to be paying attention to have had the reins to this country since 1776.
The National, what do you?
We going back to Africa, like no say.
Then what do you do? What do you do in the early 1920s in Tulsa? They had money.
Right, and they get bombed. They talk about it.
Yeah.
Then we go join the military, and then they pull us out and do the Tuskegee experiment. At the end,
No, don't miss the point I'm making. The point I was making was simply about the resources. You said we didn't have the resources, and we could pull our money together.
We could. No, I'm not saying that we couldn't, but yet I'm saying we're not given the opportunity. We understand these different things.
You keep asking for opportunity. We don't have the opportunity. So what now? We don't have the opportunity. But us. We all we got. So what now? You tell me what now.
What now is to stop thinking the same old way. Stop.
That's not good enough.
Come back to the same thing.
That's not good enough.
That's not. Hold on, wait.
It's not. We can't keep doing the same thing. We can't keep saying okay. Like I keep saying it. We can't keep passing down these generational issues to us. Right. At the end of the day, because listen, we have to humanize black people. At the end of the day, we're gonna have to start there. We have a lot of trauma based on how we got to this country. Yeah, it was stripped away from us. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, we passed that. We passed how we got.
No, we're not passing. That's the thing.
Bro, we're past that. We're here now. We're here now. Come on, man. So you still got trauma of how we got here? You got trauma.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hey, fellas.
Okay.
We got a couple minutes left. Melissa, I think that you was going to say something. But
No, I mean, it's just a great conversation. I wanted to actually get to like some of the questions from the audience. I thought like 2 of them come up.
There's been about 10 of them.
Right. I just wanted to, we do this. So every Tuesday we do this all night. I think we'll go past the point. So I want to let some of the audience get in on that.
Someone said something about the integration question. I think Sean mentioned something about the integration question, and I don't remember what it was exactly. Okay. I think we have time for a question, and then maybe we can close. I mean, like I said, I can do this all night, but you know,
we can, exactly
all night. Can I promise I'm done after this. Sean, to answer your question.
Nah, Christian, come on.
Christian,
Hold on.
Let the audience get in.
Yeah.
Sika, what do you want to do from here, Sika?
Who's going to start off with the integration question real quick?
What was the integration question?
What was the question?
He said, "Do y'all?" Oh, I'm sorry, Sika. You got it? Yeah. I scroll back up to it.
They were basically asking, do you think that it was not a good idea to have done so?
Was it not a good idea to integrate? What was the question?
Well, his question was,
yeah. That's the question. Yeah,
F no. Y'all go ahead. I'm done. F no.
That's correct.
I'll say my piece real quick and let someone else jump in. I definitely see the pros and cons. I think earlier this year, I really wasn't thinking about it. We started reading this book, Sika. It's about black banks. It's the one we're currently reading, but it's about the racial wealth gap. And I realize now, after reading some more of this, that I do think there were some hindrances when it came to integration. We stopped supporting Black-owned businesses. Mm-hmm. And so now we're trying to find our way back to it. And in reality, many of us spend a large percentage of our money in white places. Most of us are banking at larger white institutions or white banks. We go to white schools. Whereas if we were still segregated, and I'm not advocating for it, I'm just kind of throwing it out there. If we were still segregated, we would be supporting us more than we are now that we are integrated.
Yeah. I think that I agree with that. Like there's so much that happened with integration that the Black community, and mostly it was our economic state. And so for me, like especially reading this book, and Pastor B, can you put the book back up there and just hold it up there for a second for people to see it? This book is phenomenal. Like I've learned a lot of things from reading this, but ultimately we have a chance to, when we have more stake in our own communities, and then the dollar circulates more throughout, which ultimately will help us build more commercial properties and businesses and also residential. And therefore that income gap ratio that we've talked about, Ashton, that now starts to close drastically if we're able to do that. So I'm not saying that I advocate for segregation, but I think there is some kind of mix of both.
For me, initially before reading that book, I was all about segregation, 100%. But after reading that book, it broke down and showed me the layers of how disappointed we are for Black people if we do segregate. We will hurt ourselves even more because we're not in the right situation to build from that. We have to integrate some type of way. So for me, I always push back like, well, I don't want to integrate still. Let's go to Africa. Let's go to other countries and start exploring. So that's a whole other topic. But as far as segregation, I would say no, we have to integrate. It will only make, if we're going to be here, we're going to have to figure out either by policies or laws to be changed to help us push forward. But we cannot, we would not survive segregated. They will make sure of that.
And I'd say, yeah, Sean, to your question, I'm looking at it based on the way you asked it. That book that we're talking about, we just finished, it's about a 300-page answer to your question. It is. I would definitely recommend you do it. But as far as from my perspective, I think that we focused too much on civil rights before we understood that we needed to be focusing on our economics first, or at least in parallel.
It has been a wonderful conversation with you guys tonight. We went a little bit over time, and that's okay. Good conversations take time, and hopefully we can do this again, guys. Before we get out of here, I want all of you guys to let everybody know where they can follow you, your social media, and anything else that's affiliated with you in Talk 37.
Can we start with you, Sika? Did you hear me, Sika?
It's a crazy echo. Y'all hear that?
Okay, maybe someone else want to go first?
Why don't you go ahead, Marcus?
All right, so I am I'm the Chief Growth Officer for Black with No Chaser. Who's that echo? That?
Everybody press mute. Everybody press mute.
I think it's
because there we go. Yeah. So I'm the Chief Growth Officer with Black with No Chaser. So at Black with No Chaser on Instagram, Facebook, and then also my personal is at Mr. Knight 83 on Instagram, Facebook, on Twitter. We're Black No Chaser. And yeah, I'll connect with y'all.
Yeah, I'll go next. You can find me at least on Instagram, B_Watts with a Z. I'm also the lead pastor of I said it in the film, I'm pretty biased, but I think one of the greatest churches in the country, Epiphany Church, Brooklyn, predominantly Black church here in the Bed-Stuy section of Brooklyn. So you can find us at Epiphany Brooklyn. Also, let me just take a moment to say Talk 37 is growing. Thank you guys for bearing with us. We have more content coming out, but you can follow Talk 37. It's TLK3 and then it's SVN. Let me also encourage you guys just to go to YouTube, Talk 37 on YouTube, and hit subscribe for us. We're just trying to, build it up a little bit more. So if you could hit subscribe, turn the notification on so that when any new content drops, you can get it. No, so once you go next, but
you find me on Instagram, King Nosa. And that's pretty much it as far as social network. I wanted to just throw this out here. Support Black businesses. It's very important, man. Keep the money cycling within the community. That's to help us keep pushing forward.
All right, I'll go next. Again, I'm Ashton Eady. Social media, you can follow me at, I put it up there, at West Indian Roots on Instagram. And piggyback off of Nosa, I'm gonna use my little piece to shout out HBCUs. I'm a proud HBCU alum, as some of my brothers are here. Yeah, encourage your youth, man. HBCUs first.
Yeah, I'm just at Antaeus Co. You might not find much when you get there, but that's how you can find me.
All right, you can follow me. You might not find much. You can follow me at Root Magazine and also at Root Access Live for all things gospel. Make sure you check me out and follow.
I guess I'm last. First off, SIKA. I'm sorry. Dope job. You are a monster with this social media stuff, man. Like, applause to you, young lady. Like, you are a champ. Straight up. I want to give you that love because you deserve it. Word up.
Yeah, SIKA, you killed it.
You deserve that love. Find me at Mad Villain. No problem. Find me at Mad Villain. Ashton, we are definitely going to argue later because you just said make sure we inspire the youth for HBCUs. But we get inspiration from everywhere. So why can't we get it from athletes that say, hey, go to college? Anyway, whatever. Find me at Mad Villain. Christian Cole on Facebook.
Don't stop.
This has been super dope, man. I love all y'all brothers. I'm sure we're going to get on after this and argue some more. SIKA, hopefully I'll meet you in person. You are dope.
Hey, brother, it's nothing. We could just set it up. Wherever you are, hey, we can meet up. It's nothing. I love traveling, so hey, it's nothing. I'll see you soon. I'll put it that way.
Yes, most definitely.
And I am SIKA. I am the director of music and entertainment and also the Black Lunch Break and also the digital production manager here at Black with No Chaser. I enjoy what I do every day. I live this, I breathe this, and conversation is what I do. And I thoroughly enjoy speaking to all of you kings tonight. And I know that it won't be the very last time at all. Marcus, you got something you want to say?
Yeah, just real quick. Like, I'm going to piggyback off Christian just real quick. SIKA did all this shit by herself. Like I'm talking about the production that you see on the bottom of the screen, moderating the panel, the graphics, everything. Like SIKA did that. So again, like, thank you so much, sis. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Y'all so welcome. I appreciate you guys and the energy that you're bringing. Keep growing, keep striving, keep making the world a better place. Y'all doing a great job. Don't let nobody else tell you that you're not. And I love all of you dearly.
Mm-hmm. Love you,
Thank
sis.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
love,
SIKA.
love, SIKA, love.
SIKA, you
Good
know
night,
what
y'all.
I do.
Peace.
I get it all the time. I get it all the time. Y'all have a great night.